Our next presenter is Cindy Ponko, Senior Recruiter here at Quardev, and she's going to be talking about recruiting in the time of COVID.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for making some time. Mike, that was awesome. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to share my screen here, so bear with me, if you could. All right. Can everybody see it okay? We are, as Mike mentioned, we are in just a very unique time that even 6 months ago I couldn't have imagined. And one thing that's been coming up a lot for a lot of our teams and for a lot of our hiring managers is just how this pandemic is impacting their recruiting efforts, hiring efforts, and really all overall talent management and team engagement. So keeping people on track and excited and motivated for the marathon that we're a part of right now. So we just wanted to spend 10 minutes and just kind of go over what we're seeing in the industry. And so I just thought I'd put together a few slides and just highlight some of the top things. I'm on the recruiting team here. You are welcome to email me at any time or call me at any time with any questions that are specific to you, either as a job seeker or as a team member or as a hiring manager. And myself and our team will be happy to help in any way we can. So let's get started. These are really tips for hiring managers as well as job seekers, because we have a lot of folks out there that are finding themselves either furloughed or needing to jump into something new. Let me see if I can get this to work. And it is actually frozen a little bit. So the overview really of the talk today, we're going to talk about three things. What is the impact of COVID on hiring? How do we navigate the changes that those impacts are having on us? And then first and foremost, we'll probably have this top of mind, how do we implement safety plans for where we are today and of course as where we want to go in the future? Right now, the greatest impact that we are seeing is that recruiting, so starting with recruiting, it is now 100% remote, and that's changing a lot of the variables with regard to recruiting. Face-to-face meetings, catching somebody in a cafe, all of those types of engagements are really on hold. So right now, everything is 100% remote. It's changing the way we communicate, and it's changing the way we try to identify and connect with potential talent and the people that we'd like to bring onto our team. The other really big change, and I know we here at Quardev are doing a lot of this as well, is interviewing. The process of interviewing potential candidates for our teams has gone virtual. And that's creating a whole world of new opportunity as well as some challenges. So we can kind of talk about some of the ways to overcome those, whether it's using new digital tools, video conferencing tools, such as the one we're using right now, and just some other platforms that have been really effective. Email me if you have specific questions about those. I'll just let you know off the top of our heads. Right now, Skype is working really well, and Zoom is working really well, Google Hangouts, and then a couple of the other really popular ones as well are working. Something people are not really talking about, probably if we're in collaboration with our teams, day-to-day during the workday, but something that is being discussed when we're doing some like online socializing, or maybe you're running into somebody as you're going for a walk, or you're safely distanced at a park, is that motivations for changing jobs have changed significantly. So candidates are really trying to avoid additional risk in their lives right now. So as recruiters and hiring managers, any way that we can help them to have confidence in joining our team will put us ahead 1,000 feet and super fast to get them to consider us seriously. But we are seeing a lot of risk aversion out there as far as making a job change right now. And then probably the biggest thing we're all experiencing is that remote work is now the new normal. And that's creating some interesting opportunities. We can work with team members from all over the world. And we also have to find new ways to keep that collaboration and communication going so that we can keep projects and goals on task. So how are the teams kind of navigating those changes that we kind of just talked about? The changes are impacting each of us differently. So whether you're a job seeker, you're a team member, or you're a manager, how these changes are impacting you might be very different from how they're impacting others. For the teams as a whole, teams are going virtual. So that is creating situations where we just have to make sure that everybody's aware. Are we making sure that we're using the same communication platforms? Are we making sure that everybody has access to be online at the same time for the meetings that are most important? Are we making sure that we're doing some follow-up? So we all connect on Zoom, we have this great collaboration, we're all good on the project. Are we making sure to do those follow-up points to keep us on track? The remote work is the new normal for a lot of the teams. How do we balance the dogs coming into the office? How do we balance the needs of family that are often at home with us? These are all questions that we are addressing. Communication expectations really, I think, are key to keeping teams cohesive and keeping teams on track to meet their goals. And when we talk about communication expectations, we're really talking about how do we want to be communicating with each other? For instance, if our team is a fan of Slack, we're going to use that channel a lot. If we tend to be LinkedIn communicators, we're going to use that platform. If we are emailers, we're going to use that. But let's collectively decide on a standard for communication. And let's collectively decide what our expectation is. Do we do a morning check-in, noon check-in, and end of day? Are we checking in once a week? Let's just put those questions out there and create some standardization around those. This is actually coming up a lot because we've been in this marathon now for a little while. Some teams are kind of asking, what about our goals? You know, we had these goals before all of this started. Are we still held to those goals? Can we be flexible? What are we going to do? So speaking to that and keeping that on the forefront of your minds, I think is really, really important to keep your teams going and to keep yourself as a team member happy. And then probably the most important thing that all of us are encouraging our team members to do and trying to be mindful of ourselves is to keep that marathon mindset. We really don't know how things are going to unfold. We only know what's happening in this moment. We can do our best to predict for the future, but keeping that marathon mindset, I think, is going to be really important for all of us moving forward. Managers have a lot on their plate right now. Because remote work is the new normal, they have to rethink how they engage with their team members, rethink how they manage their projects and the deliverables, and all of the things that are coming up on the roadmap. Consistent engagement is absolutely critical at this time. Make sure that you're reaching out to your team members on a regular basis. And this is like one-on-one reaching out, even if it's sending a quick 2-sentence email every Monday. Just make sure it's consistent and make sure it's happening. Let them know that you are engaged and that you are valuing their contribution, even though you can't see it in the office. It's just a very different dynamic. So that consistent engagement is absolutely critical. Something that hiring managers are asking about is, how do we manage our team members from the perspective of their performance reviews and working with them on career paths, really helping them to know that we are thinking about that aspect of their career, even though we're in the middle of this pandemic. I see this as a huge plus for where we are right now, because today we have an opportunity to kind of set aside the professional, I call them kind of walls that we have to put up from time to time. And we have an opportunity to really get to know the people that are supporting us as managers and have an opportunity to really develop some personalized plans for them. So kind of make sure that we are all doing that. Virtual hiring is happening now. What are the best practices around that? One thing that is absolutely important for any manager that is trying to do the hiring process virtually is to ensure that they can track what they're communicating, whether it's a video recording or email records that they that they are tracking that process with the candidate, and also ensuring that they have all of the end tools necessary to hire that person if it turns out, wow, that was a fabulous interview. This is somebody I really want to bring onto my team. So making sure that HR and hiring managers are aligned, whether it's e-doc signing tools or you name it, just making sure that you're aligned on that so that you can process those hires quickly. And then the one thing that is really interesting, we have a couple of managers that talk about this a lot with their teams now that we're kind of further along in this situation, and that is they're really trying to keep it sticky. They're trying to pick one or two things that has become like the team glue, if you will, whether that's once a month they all get online and play a game together, or maybe it's an online beer 30 in some cases. It's up to the culture, of course, of the team, but keeping it sticky is super, super important to help navigate these changes. Job seekers, I don't know how many of you out there are job seekers right now. The landscape obviously has changed significantly in many ways. And if you take out the aspect of just the chaos and the uncertainty, in many ways, the fact that hiring has gone virtual you can really play that to your advantage right now. Keeping your consistent communication with recruiters, hiring managers, the people you meet during virtual hiring events, that's going to set you apart. A lot of folks aren't doing that. So make sure that you are. To help navigate this change and these changes even faster, take this time to really polish your brand. And what I mean by that is fill out your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that when we're searching for you and your social profiles come up, make sure that they are showing us what you want us to see about you. I can't tell you how many times that has come up. So just be mindful of that and kind of go through your feeds every once in a while and ask yourself, is this a message I want to be sending to potential teams and employers? And if not, change it up. And then probably the most important thing right now is thinking like a recruiter, thinking like a manager. There are many people sending in resumes to job openings without having really read that job opening, the requirements and expectations for the role. Do your homework, revise your profile and your resume to meet the expectations for that specific role that you're applying to. Think like the manager. Ask yourself, if I'm the manager and I'm asking for this type of talent, what am I probably going to want to see on a profile? Build your profile to that. It's a little extra work up front, but you can actually keep those on file. So you might have, maybe you're a data engineer and you might have one that's really highlighting the environment you're comfortable with. Maybe you're gonna have one that highlights some of the automation experience you bring to the table. Just really be cognitive of that and really think that it helps people to bubble up to the top for consideration. So it's really an important thing to do. And then here's the most important for your overall success. And I think really for all of us, whether we're a team member, a manager, especially when we're a job seeker, choose your wave. There is an ocean of opportunity out there, even in the middle of a pandemic. There is an ocean of opportunity for you. But you only succeed when you are riding your wave, right? When that flow and connection is there. So when you get into a situation where you have maybe 2 or 3 opportunities before you, really choose carefully. Choose your wave, because we are kind of in a marathon situation. And when you do make that change to a new team, you're going to want to make sure that the flow and the connection is there so that you can stay with it for the long haul. This is kind of I was originally going to start with this, and I was going to chat with Shelley about it because I know this has been really important to her and it has helped me feel safe as well with regard to our team here at Quardev. But implementing a safety plan, even though we're still mostly working remote, is still very critical for your existing team and for any potential person you're going to bring on to the team. Shelley was gracious enough, she kind of shared with me how her thought process and how she went through developing the plan for our Quardev test team. And we actually have a lab here at Quardev in Seattle. You could think of it as like nearshore testing services. And then we also have kind of end-to-end technology services. So it's, you know, it's an office within an office, and it poses some challenges right now because there are some things that really have to be tested in person. A lot, of course, we can do virtually, but some things really do involve real people in a real room at the same time. And so how do we approach that? And one thing Shelley did was the first thing she did was, well, we're gonna have to have a plan. And let's start the plan with where we are right now. And she basically laid out for the team, to help them with their sense of security, the ins and outs of when can you come to the office? What are the protocols around that? What do you do if you're scheduled to come in and you're not feeling well? What are the expectations around that as well? When is it on you to kind of raise your hand and say, you know what, this is no longer going to be safe. Here's why I won't be, and so I won't be coming into the office, and really kind of creating a document and a set of expectations around that. It has been super helpful, and it has created just a very nice cushion of confidence for everybody who's involved in the lab downstairs. And then of course, making sure that that plan involves how are we going to change to meet the changing conditions is also super critical. So the end of the marathon happens, we get to open up, we get to talk about how are we going to integrate our teams back into an in-office model. So make sure that that's included in the plan. And those are kind of those are basically the impacts of this pandemic on how we're working today, how people are starting to navigate that successfully. And then of course, just making sure we have a plan around safety for right now, and then also plans around safety for moving forward. I know that's a lot to digest. Does anybody have any questions right now?
There are a couple out there, Cindy. First one from Chris, who asks, he says, the old-fashioned whiteboard coding interview is a process that has lots of problems. Does the new world of remote interviews actually help fix this in any way?
Well, it depends on the person. Some people really enjoy the fact that virtual hiring and virtual interviewing has transitioned us from the in-office whiteboard interview to online interview or online coding challenges. In some cases, we even have take-home coding challenges. People that are comfortable with that dynamic, so they are comfortable, confident about their code, confident that they understand the coding style of the team that they are about to join or that they'd like to join, it's a huge win for them. Folks that are, I'm going to use the word intuitive. So folks that when they're at the board and they're solving a problem at the board, they've almost split their focus to some degree. So part of their focus is on meeting the expectation of the code challenge, using their knowledge and their technical skill and ability. Another part of their focus is reading the room. So they're actually picking up on people's changes in breathing pattern. Are people shifting in their chairs? Did somebody raise their eyebrows? They're using those signals and signs to help them check their code as they go, actually. So it's going to really depend on the person. What I do like about moving to virtual code challenges is it saves everybody a ton of time. We don't have to wait for 6 people to all have the same 3-hour block available. It has made the speed for the hiring process much better, I think, and much more respectful of the candidate and their time.
Okay. Hopefully that answers that for you, Chris. One from Mike that says, do you feel that many companies will continue to do remote working even after COVID is long gone?
And I think that's going to depend on the team, the product that they're supporting, what is their business model. We've had I have a couple of people that they know now that they will be forever remote. They are trying to kind of evaluate, how does that align for them? Is that the wave, if you will, that they want to be riding? It really depends on the company. I think that it's important to be talking about that as a team, as a manager with your team, the what ifs. Be asking yourselves, you know, there is a possibility that we'll be remote indefinitely. How do we feel about that? What processes are working now that might need to be changed in order to meet that expectation long term? So it's really going to depend on the company.
Thank you, Cindy. Thanks for your
All right.
time and for your presentation. That was great.
That was great. Thank you, Cindy.